All right.
Sure.
Today is it's for many people. It is a day in which we're still trying to figure out how we're going to be post sheltering in place. If you live in Georgia, the governor has officially, for the most part, lifted most of the restrictions on people from going out. Most people are not going out as of right now, for good reason. And one of the persons that I'm talking to today is Eduardo. And I met Eduardo, I don't know how many months ago at this point.
A few months back. Yeah, I can't
Yeah,
remember exactly either.
right. And we met at the Connect, which is in Westview. And for people who don't know, Westview is the main strip of Westview exists. If you're going down Cascade Road and you know where the Kroger is down on Cascade, for some newer people to Atlanta, you might know that's where the Beltline kind of connects at. But for people who live in Atlanta a long time, it's where the Cascade is and that Popeye's chicken. And then it's on a side street related to that. And if you've been in Westview anytime in the last couple of years, you've seen the explosion of restaurants and shops and things like that. And Eduardo's business was initially going to be at the Connect, and then things changed and you guys moved to the Met.
Yeah, we've always been like a pop-up based business. So we've located at different locations, and we try to support businesses that are operating within the area. So sometimes we're at certain businesses for a period of time, and we've also support the Connect and help them still whenever they need help with anything related to coffee.
Okay. And so Eduardo's going to introduce more of what his business is, and I'm going to attempt to pronounce it correctly because I know I've messed up before. So it's Koinonia Coffee.
Yeah, that's great.
All right. Okay. All right. There we go. All right. So it's Koinonia Coffee. They are a great coffee shop. And I met Eduardo. The thing that really sold me on his business is just his passion for coffee. He's a part of a way for people. If you guys listen a few episodes back when I talked to John Anuchekwa, the pastor, he also is a member of Portrait Coffee, which is also doing pop-ups throughout Atlanta. And
we know Portrait, yeah.
Yeah, and so they're part of this new wave. I call it the fourth wave of coffee, which is kind of both the craft coffee movement and also just upping coffee, the culture around coffee. And so they're kind of a wave pre-COVID-19 of people in Atlanta really doing some interesting things, really doing some real community building. And I'm talking to Eduardo today about his business and how COVID has kind of affected that. So, Eduardo? Yeah.
Yeah. So like you said, the name of our company is Koinonia Coffee. The word is like a Greek term that kind of references fellowship, community. We have a phrase that we use all the time, and it's be koinonia, do community, because we really believe that koinonia is like a verb, like you do things in your community rather than just saying you're part of a community. And so that's how we started Koinonia. We started in a way where we would pop up our businesses in locations that had pre-existing history in the community already, businesses that could be legacy businesses that could already be doing good work in the community. And we started, we would put our pop-up in the spaces to help support and grow their business and to make it more profitable, I guess, as growth and change happened. And that was our hope when we first started. We got everything going with Koinonia Coffee, doing that counter service, the traditional, more the third wave coffee kind of feel. But we were definitely touching on that new fourth wave, what you were saying, kind of coffee space with the carts and creating it. And so every place we've been was like a little small section, a little cart or a little bar inside of a space that already existed.
Right.
Are you going some more into that?
Well, yeah. I mean, you can tell people more about the coffee itself and what you guys that's doing here in Atlanta, because I really like what you guys are doing.
Yeah. So our hope with everything we do, we want to be community focused and community based. So what we did was end up trying to be hyper local with everything we did. We actually sought out and found a local roaster here in Atlanta that we actually use as well. There's benefits to that as well. Like we utilize them and we get the freshest coffee you can get because it's really local, really close. And that's part of that fourth wave, what you're talking about. It's like hyper local roastery based coffee. You're getting your coffee fresh because it's right here in town, but also we're supporting our local community because we're supporting local businesses And so we did that. We continue to grow. I think we have been located, I'm trying to think of the total number, of 4 or 5 different locations in the past 2 years. So that's why when I say like, oh yeah, we support all these other businesses, we've been located at Gallery 992. We've been located at the Connect, well, helping to connect with some events and things like that. We have been located at a local grocery store. We also have been located at D Cafe right there on the Westview Strip for a while. So again, everything we're doing is trying to help support, build that community base and connect people in the community together. So yeah, that's kind of the synopsis of what we've been doing.
Right, and I like it. And so the other reason I asked is because the way you talked about being a good community partner when I first met you a few months back was like very interesting. A lot of people I know I've met in the coffee space are just kind of, I'm going to keep that word to myself, but a lot of them can be very much like narrow-minded about themselves, about being even in the greater coffee, roaster, barista community. They're just kind of like narrow. But you seem to have a very different approach to that. And can you explain to people what that is?
Yeah, so traditionally, whenever you hear about coffee shops and anything that related to coffee, especially if it's in a traditionally underserved community, coming into that community, what it represents is a lot of change and a lot of gentrification and a lot of things that are really, really hard for maybe the legacy businesses or the legacy community to swallow, because they know that what happens with those environments and those coffee shops is that they tend to isolate themselves to support and help grow the new neighbors that are moving into the community. They cater to the new neighbors that are in the community, and that's about it. They don't really try to create an environment where they can include everyone, or even just mainly take care of or create an environment where the legacy and the community members that have lived in that neighborhood for years can come and enjoy and be a part of. It comes across kind of exclusive a lot of times. So we wanted to try to avoid that as much as we could, and the way we thought we could do that was by putting ourselves or inserting ourselves into businesses that already existed in the community to highlight and support them, rather than trying to be like the big new, great thing. Because, and then, I mean, we'll talk about the reality. I'm a white Latin male. So like,
hold on, pause.
Yeah, oh yeah,
because some people, their head might explode by you saying that. So they won't process what you just said.
Yeah. So let me process that. So I am Latin. My mother's from El Salvador, but my dad is white. So I live in my full privilege of being a white male in society. When I walk into a space, most of the time, no one's assuming that I'm Latin. But as soon as I say my name, Eduardo Lowe, then they go, oh, or especially if I put an accent on it. If I say Eduardo, it's a little more Southern. But what happens is in those spaces that if I come into those spaces, like, for example, if I'm like in a place like a traditionally Atlanta-owned, Black-owned space, I have to be careful to not create an environment where all the focus is on what I'm doing and not what the businesses that already exist in the space are doing as well. So it's a hard balance. I mean, there's no perfect formula for it, but we try our best with whatever we do in whatever space we are in to help that. And so we also acknowledge that what we present and who I am, I say we, is like who I am, can sometimes make it difficult to for people to associate positive change in their neighborhood. So
got you. And the reason why I wanted you to just say that first is because Pre-COVID-19, this issue of gentrification and coffee shops as a signifier of gentrification was becoming more and more of a contentious issue that I would see as somebody who loves coffee, somebody who loves Atlanta, somebody who loves Black culture. Those three things on paper should meet up, but in reality, they really don't. And you were the only person I met outside of maybe Daniel Brown out in Gilly Brew Bar out in Stone Mountain, who was explicitly like, and maybe, I'm sorry, the Portrait Coffee guys who've been like,
Yeah.
we really want to be a better partner to our community. Everybody else like, I'm building a business. Talk to me about that kind of thing. Do you think that being that thoughtful is a hindrance, or do you think like now, especially coming out of COVID-19, that maybe I need to put that in the background and just focus on growing my business instead of being like a good community partner?
Well, I mean, we'll think about it like in two, I guess pre-COVID and post-COVID.
Yeah.
So pre-COVID, I do think it's a hindrance, but not a hindrance in the sense of like I'm trying to think of the words for it, like an unwanted hindrance. We've decided that was going to be a problem. Like we're creating an environment where we're saying that we know that if we catered to just new neighbors, and if we just catered to people that look like me, we would do well. We would make pretty good money and we would grow rapidly. So the hindrance is that we decided that we weren't going to do that. We decided that we were going to be very intentional about how we grew our business. And like I said, it's not perfect, but as we grew our business, that made us make decisions that would, I guess, create something where we wouldn't make as much money sometimes because of the decisions we had to make.
Like what? What does that mean?
So like there's certain spaces that we decided that we didn't want to be in anymore. Because there was one particular space, I'm trying not to call them out too much, that we were in, and we just felt like we weren't going to be in that space anymore because it stopped representing the change that we felt was positive for our community. We also make sure that our space and how we present our coffee shop is representative of the local community as well. Not like a general like, hey, this is Atlanta's coffee shop. It's like, no, this is a coffee shop located in Southwest Atlanta. We want to present the people of Atlanta, Southwest Atlanta, and the people that live here in a positive way and not an exploitive way either. I know that's a whole nother topic, but not like, hey, we're here to help Southwest Atlanta. It's like, no, we're just partnering with the people that live here, and we're part of that. And so the traditional route, again, third wave coffee shop counter space would be, the kind of minimalist like feel and everything that's just kind of, oh, this is for a particular, it feels like it's for a particular demographic. I'm not saying it is for a particular demographic, but it feels like that, and it doesn't kind of partner with the community. So we had to make decisions in that way to make sure that everything we're presenting says we're partnering with you, and we're not making a decision we're not making decisions hopefully we're not making decisions that are going to hurt our community. We're going to make decisions that help our community.
Right. And now I want to kind of segue that a little bit to Koinonia in particular. How did you get the business started, and how was it pre-COVID?
Okay, so pre-COVID, so Koinonia itself, I don't think I've ever mentioned this to you as well, but before Koinonia, I was actually a minister. So I was a minister for like 6 years, I think. 6 years total, full-time ministry. Moved out to California for a couple years to go to school, got my grad school degree, finished that. And during that time, I got to experience some of the life, some of the ideas and concepts of community that may have been a little different than you experience in the South. How people are like in a large city, Los Angeles, how communities have to be dependent on each other in a lot of ways. And especially the Latin American communities and some of the other communities, and all that kind of changed some things. on how I saw what it meant to live in a community. But I knew the one thing I learned, that community requires actually like doing things in your community. And so that's why we named it Koinonia, because we took that word that it is a biblically based word. Like there's a lot of, history in that, but we took that word and we went with it. We followed that path of doing community. And so that's how Koinonia kind of came and evolved into like a concept and an idea. And so we created the Koinonia Coffee to help support that that idea, that environment, that we can be a part of our community without hindering our community. And so we started it about 2 to 3 years ago, kept everything going, and we've been at different locations. Our last location was at the Met, like you mentioned, and then COVID hit.
Yeah. So now I want to talk about that, which is, what has it been like for you now during, we're not even gonna say post, because like we're kind of in COVID.
Yeah.
Right now. So yeah. So how's it been so far?
So it hit hard. So it hit real hard. Like within a few weeks of all the announcements of things that we're going to be shutting down and all the social distancing and everything, our sales at the window just dropped completely to almost nothing. I mean, I literally had like 2 or 3 people that would show up a day. And we were like, what are we going to do? Like we were at the point, like we're probably just going to have to shut down and do nothing. And that's it. And we're not in the place where we have a lot of money to like keep it going for a while and then come back. Like if we were shut down, I would have to, pretty much be done. And so we were making thinking about what we're going to have to do to make some decisions. And then we started getting a lot of neighbors saying, well, since I'm not going out and I can't go to my local coffee shops, could you bring me some beans? Could you drop me off of beans, or can I come? Actually, a lot of people were saying, hey, can I come stop by your house? Because these are our neighbors, like our actual, everybody that are my customers, like 95% of them live in the communities in Southwest Atlanta. And they were like, hey, can I come pick up some coffee? And I was like, oh yeah, I guess so. And so we started doing that. And then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, to the point where now every day I'm going out and dropping off coffee at, yesterday, I think I had like 20 plus deliveries at different locations. So this post-COVID thing has, in a way, destroyed my counter-side business, but it has pushed me into that fourth wave that we were talking about. That fourth wave coffee of locally roasted production and delivery, honestly, directly to the consumer. And it's been good. Actually, this week was, and I don't say good in like COVID's good, but this week, I was looking at the numbers and it looks like we're finally like hitting what we were hitting at the counter.
Oh, good, man, good.
And that is like, in this period of time of that happening, that's a huge thing. I'm pretty shocked. Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay, I want to take a quick pause. How can people actually get in contact with you, or even purchase your coffee, or support, or donate, or whatever?
Oh yeah. So we have a website, which is www.koinoniacoffeeatl.com. That's long, but if you can't see it, you can see my shirt.
Yeah.
Koinonia, Koinonia, koinoniacoffeeatl.com. You can go there and there's an order button. You can order coffee directly from us, and we deliver direct to every day I get in my car and I drive around and I'll drop it off to your porch for the 30310, 30314, and 30311 communities. And that's like the Atlanta University all the way down Cascade, and down Capitol View, all those neighborhoods, Westview, West End, all those. So all they have to do is order online, and usually within a day or two, we have it delivered to their house. So it's very simple, very easy. So.
Okay. And now I want to jump back for a minute in terms of the coffee business. So a lot of people are going to maybe ask me to ask you the same thing, which is, have you tried to reach out for any of like the federal money, or is there any state or city money that's going around to even help a business like yourself?
It's been tricky for me because we're pretty independent. Like I usually have, if I have an employee, I only have like one employee.
Gotcha.
And during this season, we were actually coming into the lull of the season. And so because I'm very small business, we don't have a lot of employees, and in the summertime, it's down to me just operating the business.
Yeah.
A lot of the loans that they were speaking about were refundable, or you'd be able to get it for free, I guess not free, but you wouldn't have to pay it back from what we've heard based on like if you're using that money to help primarily work with paying your employees. So
Yeah.
we didn't need that kind of funding in that sense. So we didn't pursue those ones. Of course, we got our regular independent, like individual stimulus money and things like that. But we haven't, we didn't apply to those. But I'll say this, all the friends that I know that have employees that are business owners in this local community here, 9 out of 10 of them haven't received any funding. They haven't received a dime. And it's interesting with this new, hey, we're open for business, change with the Governor Kemp putting that out, how we're open for business, but all these other businesses are going to have to figure out how to pay their employees, and they're in the hole right now for not having been open for a little while. So there's a lot of it's almost like promising on one end that you're going to have the money you need, and that's actually even my wife. Her job is doing the same thing. They still haven't got paid, or they haven't got any money they've applied for the loans as well, and they're still waiting to find out where it's going to come from. So I honestly haven't even met. Maybe I think I saw one friend that said they got it, but I haven't met anyone that's gotten the money for any of these loans. So.
Yeah, and so we're not going to end on such a downer note on that one.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's a bit of a downer, so we're not going to end on that one. But I do want to ask, so in particular, how can people, again, I know I've asked this before, how can we support you as a person or you as a business?
Well, I'll ordering coffee is the number one thing you can do to help us. That would be phenomenal. Again, www.koinoniacoffeeatl.com. But one of the things that we really have been, a few of our neighbors do it on occasion, that I would love for people to do. If you know someone in your community that is a frontline worker, and that we're not talking about just the healthcare environment, like nurses and doctors, but also people that have been working at grocery stores and, the fire department and things like that. If you reach out to us, we would love to help donate some coffee to them. And so we've been doing that. We've had like 4 or 5 of our neighbors that do that, and we've donated coffee to them too. We've actually had some neighbors buy coffee and then request us to donate it to them. So that's something you could really do to help support the people that are working really hard during this time, especially with this new opening. They really need to feel appreciated because they're going to be continuing to fight this fight during this time. So yeah, if you can do that, that would be awesome.
Thank you so much, Eduardo. And when the podcast gets ready, we'll definitely have to do that podcast for sure. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna be a little bit of a germaphobe. I take care of somebody who requires me to be super, super sanitized. So we'll figure it out, but we'll definitely do your podcast as well.
Yeah. I'm working on a podcast as well. I'm looking forward to making that happen, and I would love to have you as a guest on it. And I might be having to do the Zoom chats just like everyone else.
Low key though, your ideas, I was like, nobody's doing this. You should just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it, man.
All right. Thank you once again, Eduardo of Koinonia Coffee. Make sure you guys support him and what they're doing. One more time, Eduardo, so people can support the business.
www.koinoniacoffeeatl.com, Koinonia, Koinonia. And all our social media platforms are the same. So at Koinonia Coffee ATL. So,
All right.
Thanks, Ian.
Yeah. Thank you once again. I am King Williams. Please subscribe wherever you heard this podcast. And most importantly, also, please subscribe to my newsletter at iamkingwilliams.substack.com. iamkingwilliams.substack.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you, King.
All right. Thank you, Eduardo.